Welcome, everybody, to the Culture Shock Podcast, episode number 10. This is your boy, Pat Bayless, and my two co hosts, Nels and Los. And today we got two special people with us, brand new guests to the show. One, Sade, and the other one, Taylor, Randy Lee. Both are super intelligent women, along with Nels. I'm going to start with Sade real quick, right off the rip, and ask what you do as far as a profession and field.
Yeah, so like you said, my name's Sade. I'm a social worker. So right now I work in medical social work, but I have done everything from working with homeless women to working with the criminal justice system. I have experience working up in New York. That's where I'm from, but now I live in Georgia. So that's primarily where I do my work.
Okay, what about you, Taylor?
Hello. So I work in the cannabis industry. I am not only an entrepreneur, but I'm also a philanthropist and a human rights activist. I've worked heavily in the fight for civil rights for minority people in America, as well as currently working hard for abortion rights and for cannabis reformation as far as social equity is concerned. Big time community girl. Love where I'm from in Long Island. And that's right. That's really about it.
Dope. So today on episode number 10, we're gonna get into something that just happened last week. Very touchy subject, but the ruling on the abortions that happened in America. I know it has touched everybody, especially women. Personally, I feel like America has failed women a bunch of times, but last week was like the nail in the coffin. So I kind of want to start right away, and I'm gonna start with Nels on this one. And ask her, what was the first thing you felt when you saw the ruling that was handed down last week with the abortion?
Honestly, I was hurt instantly because not just personally, but for women all around the world, there's a lot of situations where abortion is needed. I think that they're not paying attention to the fact that this is needed sometimes, and not just for women who don't want kids. This is for a lot of different reasons, There's some women who go through situations where you have miscarriages. I'll get personal, high risk pregnancies. And, when you can't carry, sometimes you lose that baby. You need an abortion to take the baby out. Now I'm hearing that doctors are contacting lawyers to even see if it's okay for them to remove it. So you're telling me that there's a possibility that a woman can die and can't get the proper treatment because they don't want to perform an abortion, So.
Sade, how you feel?
Oh gosh. It was crazy. I was actually in New York when the ruling came through. And so knowing New York and the way New York is, I was like, okay, this is a little scary. But immediately knowing that I live in Georgia now, my mind just went to all those women in states that are more conservative, where there's a lot more restrictions already. Right after Roe was passed, all these states started passing trigger laws. And I can't say I was shocked at the blatant disrespect to the female body that our government has consistently shown. But it was just like another kind of stab in the back, especially, Taylor, when you talk about voting and civil rights, like women have led the fight for so many things in this country, and yet our country continues to just let us down.
And that's the thing, especially Black women too, but like all women together. It's like sometimes it's just the disrespect. And like you said, it's blatant. Like, and I just want to know, like, how, like everybody says, how were men involved in this decision? It's like it baffles me. It baffles me because I'm like, how can we rule this? How can we even make legislation on this? Based off what?
I think it comes from a place of control. Nothing but control and greed and power over the lower class, over minorities, and over women. And I think we've seen this over time in how the Supreme Court has been stacked with these Republicans and their ideologies.
For life.
And all three of them, Kushner, Alito, and Amy Coney Bryant, they all said they would never touch Roe v. Wade. They under oath, they said they would not touch it. And to see them sit here now and write about how they believe it should be overturned and ultimately overturn it, it's disgusting. And I think it just goes back to like, well, what role has men played in this? I mean, it's been the heterosexual white conservative male who has done nothing but poured money into these causes that get these people elected. Because again, like, we do vote. You go out, you vote. Right now it's a two-party system, which I'm totally against, but you vote for your Democrat and you hope they could beat that Republican. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's sad because they have more money. So it comes down to resources and more power. And the more autonomy they have over us and what we do, the safer they feel.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where men have played a role, because you have this specific men wanting to stay in power, and they are funding causes.
The old white men.
Yeah,
as they would say, the old white men that sit at the table.
And listen, I'm not just going to sit here and bash the Republican side, because we also have the older white Democrat who has been fighting since Roe v. Wade came out on the table, and they've had 20, 30, 40, 50 years to codify it and make it the law of the land, and they have not.
Right.
So like, I'm looking at these white male Democrats, like our great president, Joe Biden. I'm looking at him and I'm saying, what have you done the last 50 years?
Right.
What is it that you've done? Take up space. Exactly. What is it have you done? Because again, like, this could have been codified. But at the same time, like, to segue into something, I think that a trigger of this ruling has been the opportunity to rebuild reproductive rights from the ground up, because I think, Roe v. Wade wasn't great either. I feel like we were holding on to this because it's what we had. It was the best of what we had. But I today went to a reproductive rights rally in front of the Supreme Court of Suffolk County in Riverhead, and I heard a young woman speak, and she spoke about how, Roe v. Wade was full in effect. It was a few years ago, and she was in a red state. She was in Arizona, needed an abortion. And she was like, it wasn't going back to what Sade was saying. And Nels was saying, it's the whole, you have to look at it holistically. It's the whole woman. It's the whole life outside of the woman. It's the environment she affects. So it's like, yeah, abortion was legal in Arizona under Roe v. Wade, but she had to drive over an hour to a clinic.
Right.
She had to, her insurance would not pay for it because of a law that the insurance company had within Arizona, like an agreement they had to law, would not pay for it. Thank goodness for abortion funds, because she was able to get it paid. Then she had to sit there, and the doctor had to say, this isn't true what I'm about to say to you, but under law, Texas makes me say this to you. It's like this speech about what you're doing, basically bringing religion into it, which it has no place when you're speaking about constitutional and fundamental rights. And then she had to agree to a transvaginal ultrasound. When you can have an ultrasound right above the belly to see, but in Texas, like, you got to do the transvaginal, got to go in there. And it's like, that's invasive. And then she was like, I was young, I didn't even know what that was. So it's like, that's what Roe v. Wade had. So like, when I look at this, I see that
you see it as an opportunity in a way.
That's what I see it as, an opportunity to rebuild, to, surpass Roe v. Wade, and to get healthy, normal, realistic reproductive rights.
So you kind of took a positive out of it.
Yeah, like burn it down to build it back up.
Right.
Burn it down, of course. I took a positive out of it. It's terrible what's going on. It's negative. It's horrible. And they've only gotten this far, the other side, because we've gotten so far. So like, I have no doubt that we're going to be able to build a law that would be codified into our constitutional rights that put American women and men, because this affects men too.
Absolutely.
And puts women and men and people of all genders and all races and all social classes in a place where they have autonomy over what they do when pregnancy is on the table.
I think that, and you know what it is? I think like the first thing I thought of, you tell me if I'm wrong, you correct me if I'm wrong. But this is what I thought of. The first thing I thought of was all the kids that women are gonna have that end up going into shelters or end up being placed different places because, you know, maybe just the situation wasn't right, or, you know, mom didn't want to, you know, just all different stuff that we already deal with today. But now it's going to double. Now you tell me if I'm wrong, if you don't see it that way, but that's kind of how I like looked at it when I heard it. I'm like, damn, like went right to the kids, like, how these kids going to cope? You know, forget about not forget about the parents. You know, obviously it's terrible for the women, but then it's like how the kids gonna cope now? They're gonna be putting all these foster, you know, all these cares, and it's just like, where are they gonna eat? How they gonna eat? Where, you know, we're already headed with all this money and all this shit going downhill. Like, where are we headed? We're not headed anywhere great.
But what about the stalking child abuse? You know, the women who don't want those kids and now they're forced to have those kids.
Yes.
And they're not treated right, then what? And we already know the state doesn't step in. Like they never do.
And to put your what you're saying in perspective, Pat, in numbers.
Right.
The Gatmaster Institute, it's a researching institute, a national researching institute that supports abortion rights, international, because they look at abortion throughout all of the world.
Okay.
They have estimated approximately 40 million women of childbearing age will be affected alone in the red states that are going to be banning or making abortion more difficult. So that's 40 million women. Now think about how many kids 40 million women can produce unwanted.
Right.
And now it brings me back to the other side of, like, you're not pro-life, because if you were pro-life, you will be pro what happens in foster homes, what happens in these abusive homes, what happens to these mothers that need support.
Right.
You would be more concerned about that. There wouldn't be formula missing from shelves. There wouldn't be bills being banned from child and healthcare. Child care is child mortality is terrible in America. And people are so surprised. And it's like, no, like, these things exist. These things exist. So you have to really look at it from that.
And sometimes, like, to your point with Taylor, when you're looking up those numbers, it's like you look at sometimes how the U.S., especially in those numbers, like those kind of numbers, and you see the disparity in other countries, and it's like, wait, why is France and Switzerland and all these other things crazy? Like, why is our numbers so crazy? Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's like
nothing. We're doing
it's
nothing.
like it's crazy it's outstanding to see. It's like, wow, what is our culture? What is our society doing to us? What is our government doing to us?
But you know what? With that, I feel like if they're gonna go and make this, you know, ban it and start doing all these things, they're not even trying to do anything to help. Like, if you're telling me that my baby, once it has a heartbeat, that it is a baby, it's a human, then it needs to be treated as a human. I should be able to claim it on taxes. I should be able to get child support. I should be able to get welfare. They don't want to give a woman food stamps until the baby is born. These things should be handed to us right away if that's the case.
It has to be, and that's why it's...
Yeah, Nels, and even to add on to that, I think healthcare. Like, this isn't just about our choices, but it's also about our access to healthcare. How are you going to tell someone, okay, you have to bring this child to term, but you're not going to get any prenatal care. You're not going to get any sort of care after the fact. How many women deal with postpartum depression? How many women deal with issues breastfeeding? Like, who's going to support these women and their kids once they have a child? It's easy to say, yeah, just have that kid. But what happens after the fact? What happens during that process? Doctors visits, right? Like, the U.S. is already, the numbers are astronomical about, like, how many maternal deaths there are from either giving birth or in the process of giving birth.
Absolutely.
For a developed country, we're one of the worst countries as far as our maternal death rate.
Yep.
Terrible. And it affects Black and brown women.
And I was about to say that.
It's triggering because it feels so personal. Because at the end of the day, the women and the men who want the women to get abortions and they have the resources and the means, they're going to get it. They're going to be able to live in Texas and get their mistress pregnant and fly her to New York State. Right. They're going to be able to do that. That's possible. Right. But, like, the girl in Louisiana that's only learned about abstinence, because, like, again, like we talk about, like, what's affected outside of just abortion. There's states to this day that are just there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 states I've counted. They only teach abstinence. They don't teach safe sex. They don't teach, resources where you can get access to contraceptives. They teach just don't have sex.
They just don't have
so
sex,
you have this young poor girl in Louisiana who's 16 who's like, I'm pregnant.
Right. And it's
What
not
am I
just gonna be
supposed to
one, it's
do?
gonna be multiples like that.
She can't fly to New York. And the several states surrounding her outlawed it too. So she's forced. You're forcing a young girl that can't make a conscious decision like that, that doesn't have she's below the poverty line. If you take her away from her parents, what do you have at 16? You're below the poverty line.
Yeah.
And you just look at it and you're like, well, this feels very personal because and like you see the tea online. Ivanka Trump's friends, like, we didn't forget the abortion you got when you went to high school.
Yeah,
and you're seeing all these, pro-life American value families, and they've all had abortions.
Right.
So then it's like, what's this really about?
And
I want it answered. I want to know what it's about.
Please tell me, because that's my next question. Why? Because what is it really for? I feel like, okay, yes, you could say, to get rid of, for abortions or whatever, but that doesn't seem like the real motive. You know what I mean? And if I know the American government, like I know the American government, there's always an underlining benefit for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what is the real motive behind doing
I was listening to a podcast about that, about everything that was going on too. And basically they were saying that they feel like they need more minorities. So they knew it would obviously hurt us more, but that they needed more minorities and that this was also their way of helping it come about. But when you think about it, another lady was just like that. She doesn't think that abortions are right, whether it's through incest, rape, any of that. Abortion is abortion. But like Taylor said, what happens when it's a little girl who can't make a conscious decision, or who, is below the poverty line?
A rape victim.
What happened?
What about a rape victim? Like a rape victim.
You're forced to have your baby.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, bruh.
You're forced to have your baby.
And as a man, just speaking from a guy's side, a guy who's 16, 17, 18, even a guy who's early 20s, I don't care. We're not mature enough to deal with that shit. Like, let's just be real. Like, when I think back, I have a son now, and I'm good now mentally. But man, if I would have had my son at 18, shit, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's things even for a male, and a male's gonna be forceful on a female. Not all males, but most males can be forceful. Like, I don't want that baby. I don't want that baby. You know what I'm saying? Get an abortion. So now then the female starts to trip out. Now she's already dealing with the stress of I can't get an abortion, one, but now my baby father doesn't want to be around. Now what am I gonna do? And now all that shit just starts, and how females, with the baby and how it affects everything, stress, and it's just like a cycle.
It's gonna be a lot of, from my beliefs, it's gonna be a lot of suicides. It's gonna be a lot of that.
Murder rates will go up, and their statistics. I don't have any of those statistics in front of me, but you can go Google them. There's statistics that showed prior to Roe v. Wade, and in places where abortion, like Texas has had a 6-week heartbeat ban for a while now.
Yeah.
So in those places, you see the murder rates of pregnant women go up. Because if a woman doesn't want to have a baby, she won't. And if a man doesn't want her to, he'll go to great lengths.
Yeah, especially in America now.
The world is
absolutely.
No joke. It's no joke. People take that. I think about it. I get scared. I can only imagine. If you're brought up in a state where they've left you ignorant to your options or left you without resourcing.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost as if they've pushed you to murder. It's really sick. They put people against the wall. When you don't give people options or choices, you literally just have a neglected people. You have a neglected society.
But I'd say that's what we are.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we are. We are neglected. You know what I mean? We are, and especially women, because it's too. It's like all you guys were saying too. It's like the lawmaking, the oppression, it's in almost every industry. You see it, and it's like at the end of the day, we don't put women over. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, for what, I don't understand. You know what I mean? Let alone, to me, I believe, like, all right, whatever religion, whatever, a woman is blessed with a body that can support another life. That, to me alone, is out of this world. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, we can't do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I'm appreciative of women, because it's like, yo, listen, like, their body is superior to ours and not in any way, because without, you know, obviously without us, there's no you, but definitely without you, there's no nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, I'm hurt. I feel like I'm just as hurt, not as just hurt, but I'm hurt as well. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
what are we doing with our hurt? What are you doing with that hurt? Because like we've talked about, like, how do you feel? And people have all week they've asked me, they're like, how do you feel about it? And I'm like, well, I feel terrible and I feel angry and I'm going to do something. I'm going to sign petitions. Right now, there's a Planned Parenthood petition. You can go on Planned Parenthood right now, and you just put in your address and your info, and they'll pull up who your district representative is. I'm in the 3rd district, which is like Islip, Brookhaven, parts of Yapping. They Alexis Week, I think that's how you pronounce her name. I didn't want her to win, so I don't really know much about her. But she's a Republican, and I messaged her like, this is a problem for people that live in your district. Actually, people in your district do not support what the Supreme Court did. So like, what are you gonna do? There's petitions all out there, change.org. Lots of petitions to let our government know. And the government sees them. They get them to let them know that we're upset. So like, I just feel like my biggest thing is like, I have feelings, but like, I want to do.
Yeah.
I want to go out.
Everybody has feelings, everybody feels a way, but nobody is putting their foot forward to even do anything. And a lot of people don't even understand, like what Taylor's saying, all these things you can do. People are scared. They don't understand that they have a voice. You may think your message is not getting through and they're not seeing it. They will.
And I think, like, you know, Nels, Taylor, Sade, like, you guys are powerful women, right? And I think that a lot of males, especially the older class and, you know, that generation before, there's an intimidation factor, a very high intimidation factor. Now, women may see it that way or they may not, but males see how brilliant y'all are, right? And they see how you keep leveling up in everything that y'all have done from the moment that y'all were given rights. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in a way, it's a way to like try to put y'all back down. Levels, you know what I'm saying? And for me,
this is an
like it's just an oppression type thing. And for me, it's like, it sucks. But at the same time, I'm looking at them and I'm like, bro, how y'all so scared of women? You know, women are brilliant and women can lead the way. It doesn't always have to be a man that leads the way. Women can lead the way. Women do impossible things like nurturing a baby, holding a baby, do things like that. And I feel like a lot of males just, you know, I've heard shit, I've seen shit in all different places. Oh, women belong only in the kitchen and only blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying?
Shit.
Yeah, but there's still people to this day that believe that is what it is. You know, I worked with somebody recently that think I was fired, but I worked with somebody recently that was trying to explain something. And he was like, you wouldn't understand, you're a woman, and went to the guy. And the guy was like, bro, what? Like, why wouldn't she understand? You know, so there's still people to this day
that's sick.
Right. Try to hold women down. And, you know, I feel like y'all should be applauded just on the fact that the education, the intelligence, and the way y'all could push it through. It's important for real. What do you believe?
Especially recently too. Like, you know,
right.
a lot of people, you know what I mean? Women in power. There's a lot of brown and black people, women in power. Right. You know what I mean? So that's, you know, always beautiful to see.
Right. And what do you guys feel like is other big problems that you guys face today as women, like in society today? Y'all all made faces, so I know y'all all got a lot to say.
I think, well, I feel like sometimes like my ability is still taken into question. And I've heard about it my whole life growing up, right? I like heard about it. And then I worked in, I won't name said place, a really prominent institution I worked for. And I was part of this like systemic, racist, oppressive work environment. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening to me. And I will say I worked in the South and I was a girl from Long Island and I went to school, like I went to college, shout out Lock Haven University, my alma mater in central Pennsylvania.
Shout out.
I went to school in central PA, which was also a culture shock from living in eastern Long Island. And so like, it was just culture shock after culture shock after culture shock. And it was just like, I am part of what I
see what she did there.
She did.
Yes, there you go.
Put a title in there. I like that.
I was like, This is crazy because I've read about this, I've watched movies about it, I'm part of it, and now I'm privy to it. Because before I was kind of just like, wait, is this happening? But it's like, no, I'm not gonna gaslight myself. I know what's happening, I know what it is. So I feel like now, like the biggest thing, because I'm gonna say this. Wow, we still have a long way to go, and there still needs to be an equality rights bill passed.
Oh my God.
I still feel like as a woman, I've had a lot of opportunity and I've been accepted in a lot of places. I do want to say that too. Like my experiences have been 110% positive, but sometimes I still feel like being a Black woman, and just being who I am. I have
It's a double minority.
I have a very upfront personality, like a very like in your face, straightforward to the point. I'm a New Yorker, so like working in the South, like sometimes my like straightforwardness might come off a little sharp, but it's like I feel like sometimes my intelligence has been questioned because of those things, and I've had to be like, oh no, like this is not that. We're not going to do that. And I feel like I've been my biggest advocate. Shout out to my parents. They've taught me how to advocate for myself. But I would say that's probably like my biggest thing is people still kind of questioning, like, can I do what I do? And it's like, of course I can. That's why I'm next to you.
Right.
That's why I'm here. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I gotta give my girl some claps for that one.
Oh yeah, I like that. I felt that. I was like, oh, I didn't even say nothing.
Look, nobody said anything. Yeah. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I mean, I'm 27, so I've seen how much things have changed. Again, I'm from New York, moved to Georgia, so I can see the differences in, women being promoted into leadership positions, women being, respected, people hearing them out, hearing their perspective. But I do think one big thing is still like sexual harassment and sexual assault. I just saw, R.Kelly got sentenced.
We're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna bring that up. Don't worry. I promise.
I do really think that's still a major issue. I live in a state where human
trafficking too.
Yeah, human trafficking of young Black girls is still a major issue.
That's the
terrible in Georgia. Terrible.
Because we could talk about what's the name? Epstein's case. You know what I mean? She only got 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
what?
Yeah. So I do think that's something that I would like to see the needle move even more, because it's still really a big issue in a lot of areas for a lot of women.
But Sade, don't you think that's funny how it's not funny? Excuse me, wrong term. But don't you think it's crazy how they turn the blind eye to that, and then they do the abortion? Like I always look at that like, yeah,
what,
you got
blind eye to what?
To trafficking, to sexual harassment.
You're losing children. You're so pro-life. Where's the human trafficking?
Yeah.
Where's the
human trafficking? What human trafficking problem?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I'm so pro-life. I'm so pro-life. The NRA, the National Rifle Association, donates money to pro-life because they share that Republican lineage. They donate to pro-life, but it's like, why don't NRA donate to the sex trafficking in Georgia? Donate to figuring that out, but they can't.
But then this goes back to the fact that there's a bigger issue at hand of why they're doing this.
Right.
It goes back to that, and we still don't know what it is.
It's not just a know. All right. Can I be real?
Well, can we talk? Oh, okay. I was gonna say.
Can I be real?
Yeah.
Let's be real. All right. Yeah. So obviously, I think that it's somewhat of a ploy for more white lives.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
I think it's obviously, the ruling, the keeping the patriarch alive type shit. You know what I mean? Another step on women. And I just feel like it's some kind it's another like what Pat's saying, like we turn a blind eye to one thing. We give y'all something, we do something, we do something else, and we avoid you from the bigger issue. You know what I'm saying? Like because I feel like with okay. So
Lowe's, time out just for 1 second. I'll just keep that going. 1 second. I know you were. I'm sorry.
Bro.
1 second. They passed the Roe v. Wade, right? And then the next day they come out with that gun law. Go ahead, keep going.
See, keep going. All right, but here's look. All right, so now I'm thinking with my noodle, right? Because I'm thinking like, all right, so we already the world already has a human trafficking missing thing. It's a big ring, right? And no one's talking about it. Hollywood was quiet. when a couple summers ago, nobody wanted to talk about it.
Right.
All right, so we already have that established. Now you have more kids coming into the world. That don't seem a little crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, wait a minute. This is mad. Like, and
the biggest seller in the world is human bodies, specifically women. We are the young girls. I'm talking like 9, 10, 12. They are the most expensive commodity on this planet.
Crazy.
Not only that, they've been talking about babies and how they like to use the blood of babies for anti-aging and how to stay youthful. And a lot of celebrities are into this.
Get out shit. That's like get out shit.
Well, that's an old Southern Caucasian practice.
Yeah,
that's a thing when you find, especially wealthy ones, they used to take black babies' blood. That's a practice.
But that goes into the whole trafficking ring. You know what I mean? Because then you got the organ. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they want the melanin. That's what really.
They're like, oh, there's not enough baby's blood in this world, and I'm like, what?
Can I? Now that we're talking about it, it got my brain thinking. But do we think that, how the government talks about, all these people are aging out of the workforce, right? The workforce is what essentially supports rich people, right? The middle class supports rich people.
I like where you're going.
People working, how are we gonna, sit
more
on our
bodies
and make $1 billion every year? No more Jeff Bezos if we don't have a lot of workers. So y'all bringing that up just made me think.
And you're starting to see a lot of people take control.
I like what we're doing.
Yeah,
we brainstorm it together.
I like because there's different angles we're coming at it.
The pieces.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait a minute.
But also, a lot of us are not even working for people anymore. We're entrepreneurs. We have our own businesses. We're making our own money. We're not supporting, those folks anymore and their businesses.
Yeah. I get where Los is gonna go with this.
Ultimately, you are, because you're still competing in the market, right? But that's a necessity at this point. You know what I'm saying? You have to,
and you have to live. You got to be able to support yourself. So it's kind of like,
I'm not knocking you on that, but I'm just saying, get your money, of course. But that's what they want. You know what I mean? It's like, this is sick. This is sick. And
but to go off of what you were saying, like the triggering of it, I think that we also need to their workforce, because also, if you haven't noticed, they're doing a lot of these worker living situations. Like, we have housing for our workers. Oh my God. Some that. What's that movie with Lakeith? The horse movie.
Sorry to bother you. Yeah.
Sorry to bother you. Like that whole idea. I feel like it's preparing us for that weird communist fascist lifestyle, but it's also set them by them overturning Roe v. Wade in the big age of 2022.
Right.
They opened the floodgates to set precedent to overturn gay marriage, which is Obergefell versus Hodges, interracial marriage, Loving versus Virginia.
Yeah, Clarence
Irvin versus
come to the
Texas.
Conjugation, Clarence.
Don't get me started on him. And Irvin versus Texas, which is privacy in the bedroom, the right to love on who you want to love in the privacy of your own home.
Taylor, that was the next thing I want to ask you.
Opens that up.
That was the next thing I wanted to ask you.
And that's dangerous, because you've already had congressmen, men that sit and they make our laws. They vote in Supreme Court justices. They turn bills into laws. You have them writing to former presidents, let's overturn Plessy versus Ferguson and Brown versus the education. You have them talking, and it's almost like, nah, they can. Because 3 people sat under oath and said they would never touch the law of the land, which was Roe v. Wade. They were asked specifically about Roe v. Wade, said they would never touch it, lied under oath, which is things like now we have to look at the real integrity of the court. This are all triggers. It's like beyond abortion. It's more like, who are we electing? These liars. And there's no consequences. It doesn't seem like there's consequences. They lied under oath.
I feel like when they did this, they basically prepared us for exactly what Taylor just said, for all of that to open up. They're preparing us for those changes, because I do feel like it's coming.
And just the 3 years, right? Not even 3 years since Trump has been. I mean, we've always had political liars, right? We've always had people that are politicians that are liars. That's the game, right?
Yeah.
But let's be honest, in just the past 3 years since the pandemic. I mean, before that was crazy too, but just the pandemic and moving forward, how much America has just been setting themselves back and back and back and back. And even with the shootings that happen,
Hey,
I mean,
boy.
the way we set ourselves back, I think is scary. And like Taylor just said, like I look, I have people in my family that are gay, right, and that are married. And I think about it all the time. If they're willing to change this, for women, what are they gonna do for that community? You know what I'm saying? What laws are they gonna say? Nah, that's bullshit. Get rid of it.
And
They're
saying it to us. They're saying it. They're saying our justice is saying.
Right.
You know what? It seems like everything is moving backwards, because even with the Democratic Party, they were never for Black people.
Mm-hmm.
They were really never for us. And if you go back to their history, you'll see that they signed.
They did.
Yeah, Republicans. What Abraham Lincoln was the one who was trying to overturn things.
It was a polar switch, because it was a polar switch, and the parties. It really, you saw it develop during the 50s, the 60s. You have your Nixon, your Reagan era.
Yeah.
You see it develop, and it. I know, bugged out. PTSD.
Leave Reagan alone, boy. Leave Reagan. Lucky I'm not a time traveler.
So you see, like, the polar shift of the political parties, and like it's sad because I hate two-party systems. I hate it. I hate it. I don't like to. I do not like to identify myself as a Democrat, but in order for me to vote in a space to actually change, they make me pick, which I would love to have abolished. That's not fair. I think there's amazing other people that don't identify with.
They should just have one that say "fuck all y'all."
Fuck all y'all. No, seriously.
So what you want to do?
I like what you're saying, Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's crazy to see the shift, and how you said, Nels, like the Democratic Party, like Black people have to remember, and Hispanic and other minorities, like they have their own agenda. Look at the Clintons. Look at what they did with Haiti. Look at 19. Just do that research, and all that's public.
Super Predator and all.
If they focus on how the shift is, like how if things are shifting, if they're paying attention, I feel like I get people don't like to watch the news, and sometimes it's fake. But if you're starting to pay attention to things that's happening in the world, not the news, in the world, you'll start to see exactly what's happening.
That's why I tell people never watch our news, because you'll be caught in this whole loop of negative spin of nonsense.
The loop of trying to program your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah,
look what goes on.
It's not news; it's brainwashing.
Exactly. What I saw in the news. What I saw in the news the other day, I would say 2 days after the ruling. Now it's kind of a weird question, but it's something that popped in my head. I seen the Plan B thing pop up. Now, do you think that in some of these states that obviously don't have Plan B, they're gonna be taken off the shelf? Do you think people are gonna rack up on Plan B and start selling them shits like they sell anything else?
Like they sell 100%. Plan B is gonna be selling faster than a perk tent in Compton.
That's what I'm saying.
You're gonna have the trappers selling the Plan
Bs.
Selling the Plan B. I'm telling you. But unfortunately, like that's when like they get
the trappers gonna have a couple for themselves. But
it is true. I so see it already. I
thought of it, bro. I'm like, they gonna be selling that shit. Like
that's gonna be tax free in a couple minutes.
It is.
It's gonna be a Plan B is what, $50? Yeah. They're gonna be selling it for $70. So like again, like this is a trigger effect of what, and like it's crazy because they're like, let's ban abortions. When you ban abortions, you don't ban abortion. You ban safe abortion. You ban access to fundamental health care.
Absolutely.
You don't ban abortion because they're gonna go get abortions.
What about the people who's gonna be like back in the days trying to use wire hangers on themselves, trying to do their own?
Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna bring it about and like low key in remote areas, because there still are remote areas of America and areas where the nearest abortion clinic is 6 hours away.
But Taylor, let me ask you a question, and tell me if I'm wrong. Obviously I've been reading, I've been trying to pay attention on everything. I've read that because of this, even states that do abortions, it's really up to them. So they can deny people, correct? Am I wrong? Like if you're near a state, you say I want to go get abortion from this place, and they you pull up and they just be like, no, we can't. They good. They can do that, correct? With the passing of that?
I don't know that. I have no clue. Are you talking? Okay, so
that's what I've heard. That's what I've read.
If I go to if I'm coming from a non-abortion state and I go to a pro-abortion state,
I'm just saying, like you go to a certain clinic and they decide, hey, listen, we don't want to do it anymore. Like in New York, if they just say, it's a business, like, I just don't like Planned Parenthood in New York I don't want to do it anymore.
Okay, so I can answer that. I can answer that. New York, okay, New York abortion is codified into our law.
Okay.
That is not being touched in this state.
Yeah,
Okay.
And they federal Roe v. Wade being overturned has given the state the power. New York, it is in it. So like it won't be messed with. But also Planned Parenthood, there's places that can choose to not do abortions. That's any clinic. That's like any OBGYN that chooses to not offer, because OBGYN can offer abortion. So like,
or they can tell you what kind to do, either the pill or the surgery.
Yeah. So like they could it'll be the same thing. They could choose to not to. Now, as far as if a woman leaves a state of not abortion, now let's say Texas right now, in Arkansas, there are places that have the legal right to either wait 30 days to be done with abortions, and there are places that can have the right to say, when that passed, they had the right to say, we don't do it anymore. That is, yes, that's a thing.
Right.
In these states that have these trigger bans.
This is for Taylor. So what do you know anything about like the medical field? Like what about, I worked in the medical field, but I know like when people would come to our office, let's say they're on vacation, they're like, oh, I'm from Florida. They couldn't use their insurance at my doctor's office. So we had to either bill them or deny them. So now what happens when the women come here? Like, is it going to be the same for them?
Yeah.
Is there insurance going to provide?
It's like the woman the young lady that spoke in Arizona. You know, it depends. Well, you'll be going to a pro-abortion state. So I just think that it depends on your insurance, because like I've known young ladies that have been in other states that have gotten abortions, that their insurance covered it. Okay. And I've known young ladies that have been in other states and their experience was like, well, mine didn't, because like mine's under my parents and they work for like a Catholic Health Services. So like it doesn't cover it. But like some, depending on, I believe it's your HMO, depending on that. Yeah. Like it just depends if your clinic will take an out-of-state insurance. That's what it comes down to, out-of-state insurance.
Because I know some people can get like an appeal for it, but I know appeals could take up to 30 days, and it's like, what
then
do
you might have to pay
do?
however much it costs, or you can go to an abortion fund, and those usually work rapidly. You just kind of have to provide documentation that you're getting an abortion and like the reasoning of why you can't pay for it. Yeah. But I think like in New York, I don't think women will, besides the insurance thing, yes, people from out of state are gonna have to pay full price for one. Right. That might be a thing.
I was going to add. Sorry, I was going to add about so with insurance, like, so the way insurance works is like Medicare and Medicaid sets the fee of how much insurance will pay a doctor to do certain procedures. Medicare is partially federally funded, so the federal government has somewhat of a say of what those amounts are going to be. Right. I wonder if down the line you're going to see Medicare say, you know what, we're not going to reimburse doctors as much if they perform an abortion. Yeah. So now, even if
doctors be like this, I'm good.
Yeah. Even if you are a clinic that does it, you're not going to get reimbursed the same way anymore.
But speaking on doctors, this also affects the doctors who are performing these things, who specialize in abortion or who specialize in that type of care for women. This is affecting them. This is affecting the workers of the Planned Parenthoods in those other states. This is affecting a lot of people, and I don't.
Their safety. It affects a lot. It's like their livelihoods, their safety. These right wing conservatives are crazy. Yeah. They're crazy. They're crazy. They're crazy. Like being out in Atlanta, seeing these protests, they will protest down, because Atlanta has a lot of abortion clinics. It does. They will protest down these abortion clinics. Protest down, and it's kind of just like, I feel like after seeing like the insurrection on January 6th, it's like, what will these people? I don't trust anybody. I don't trust how far anyone will go. Like, what will these pro-lifers who feel so strongly, like, what will they do? And I feel like it's fair for us who are on the right side of history. I think it's fair for us to be a little nervous and scared of these people.
I was gonna say, I think America right now is, I wouldn't say, no, I would. America right now is probably at the scariest state that has been at, as far as the mental. I know you're like, nah, Los.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking.
In a sense of mental health. I think, and just the way everything provides, like social media, everything feeds in. You got people that aren't right. They're not all the way there, and they got things, and they see shootings, and they like, all right, I could do it. Or, all right, this insurrection happened. Now let me turn up on something and let me do this. And you got people that, again, see this clinic and people people having babies and not having babies and thinking whatever they want to feel. And now they're targeting women. Now they see women as this. Now they see that. Now you've seen a couple, I think it was like a month ago, you seen the guys that got caught. They had the jackets on there ready to go to a gay rally. Yeah, they ready to go to the gay rally and start a riot and fuck.
They were like the American patriots of something.
And on their jackets it said "Take America Back." Bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Shit like that. It's scary. And I feel like, like I said, I always say it. I've said it on a couple podcasts, I'm white Puerto Rican, so it's a different thing from you guys being black. So I can't sit here and say I relate. But I even sometimes go into a supermarket and be like people really, at this point, it don't even matter. They'll walk right in here and shoot us all up. You know what I'm saying?
No remorse. And videotape it. And videotape it.
And videotape it and think it's cool.
That they're killing people.
Right.
And it's like the guns have so much control in America.
Right. And I think that's sad. I want to turn to a different topic. It's still a scary topic, and Sade had brought it up. The R.Kelly ruling. 30 years. I don't know if you guys seen the Netflix series Surviving R. Kelly or not. I don't know if you guys tapped into that or not, but I want to see how you guys feel on the ruling. I want to see how you guys feel on R. Kelly. Now the guy makes great music. Don't get me wrong. Music was unbelievable, fire, and that's a big but. I really want to see how you think.
We're talking about R. Kelly,
right? We're talking about the man R. Kelly. We're not talking about the music.
We're not talking about Robert. You know what I'm saying? That's the man.
That's true. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. That's the man behind the whole thing.
So I want to know how you guys feel on the ruling of the 30 years and yeah, just that. So whoever wants to go first, y'all can.
I will because I think Robert Kelly, 30 years. I think this again shows another display of America saying we hate women. 30 years? That's not enough. 30 years isn't enough. I think he's had more than 30 women involved in these acts, and you give him 30 years. It's not even a year for each woman. I look at it that way, and I look at all the years these women lose even after him because they're traumatized.
Still to this day.
To this day. And I think, 30 years is great from what we've seen, right? We've seen a lot of, especially non-minority men get away with they don't do any time. So I think it's nice to see, but I think it's nice to see. So 30 years, great. But then I think, again, we still have to look at it and be like, why is it just 30 years? He's literally messed up that thousands, and I say thousands of lives because it's like these, again, it triggers people, it triggers everyone in the environment outside of these women. And the people that have had to work with him, the people that had to stay silent and were privy to his sick acts. So I think 30 years is BS, but I'm happy he stays away. I'm a little nervous though, because Bill Cosby's out and just like posted an Instagram post. So like, will he do his 30 years? I don't know. And that's something that needs to be addressed. Why aren't these men doing their sentences for their sick acts?
Right.
That are proven to be true. Because Bill Cosby's, it was proven, but he's out. He's tweeting.
Right. I seen that today.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's a sense of justice. It's something, like Taylor's saying, it's longer than most of.
They were asking for 25, I believe. I believe that's what I heard. They were asking for 25 and they got 30.
It's something. I'll be honest, I really don't support the prison industrial complex. I'm an abolitionist when it comes to putting anyone in jail. But I understand the need for it. I understand that's the society we live in, where we lock people up for what.
So what would you rather do then?
Rehab. He needs rehab.
Rehabilitation. I do believe there should be a time period where people have to be out of the community, taken out of the community and rehabilitated. But I don't think, like you said, I don't think he's going to actually stay in for 30 years.
Right.
Maybe after 6 years, they'll appeal it and he'll get parole. And he'll learn nothing. He'll come out more fucked up than when he went in.
Right.
But I'd never been to jail. I know, I've never been to the big house. Thank God. And knock on wood, never was.
We love that, and
I agree with both of them, with Taylor and Sade. I feel where both of them are coming from. I do feel like he needs to be in some type of rehab center, because I don't know much about the documentary. I didn't watch it. It's triggering.
Don't watch it.
I didn't watch it. I was told not to, and I'm not going to.
Respectfully.
But from like things that I've heard and read online, I do feel like he needs to be in a rehab. I did hear that he was molested as a kid, and I'm going to be honest, when those type of things happen to you as a young person, not saying that you're going to go and molest that person, but you have sometimes sexual urges that you don't understand. And when you don't speak to somebody and you don't understand those things and you can't even comprehend for yourself, you do things that are not rational.
Right.
I'm going to be very honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like he deserves some time. At the end of the day, whether he goes to rehab and jail at the same time, he deserves
what I'm saying.
something.
You definitely. I mean, there's. I understand the but there has to be some kind of consequence. This man has done so much harm to so many lives.
I said he deserved both.
Yeah, no, I know you're right. I know, but I'm just saying, like, I feel like punishment is obvious. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
But what about these parents? What about these parents that allowed their children to be with this man? They deserve to be punished as well.
They need to go to jail too. They need to be investigated. And I think there are investigations done, and I believe some women have sued their parents in their adult ages.
Because imagine how much money these parents were getting to have their 13-year-old. Why is your 13-year-old alone with a grown?
Because the parents are like this.
I watched that documentary and said the same exact thing. I would be at every single thing she did. I would be the manager. I'll be the manager.
Oh yeah, every recording session, sitting there, up her butt. Where are you going? Eyes on her all the time. Right. She needs to go to the bathroom. She needs to do anything. I'll take her. I'm here. Yeah.
But let's be honest. Let's be honest though. And a certain, we all, like I said, we all think alike. But there's some parents that, I think we all have friends or all have people that you just see their parents, they just don't give a hell.
Yeah.
So there's
especially if it's a celebrity or someone.
Yeah, you always saw
what
Kelly.
I'm saying is that the parent needs to be charged.
Right.
Right.
And I think Taylor said the same thing, though. She said, there's people that go unpunished. I don't know if you guys follow football or nothing, but there's a quarterback that just recently, his name is Deshaun Watson. He just recently had 24 women say he had massage therapists say that he sexually assaulted them. 24. 24 cases. He beat, I believe, 20 of them. But now it's civil, so now it's just pay them off, right? So, but that is a great example of what Taylor said. You got some people that literally go just under the radar and it's over, it's nowhere, and these women are affected, and it's just like their voices aren't heard. And he just got paid a big contract. I don't know what he made. I don't know the numbers, but it's something like over 120 million for a certain year. So. You know what I'm saying? So you got stuff like that.
40 million a year.
Yeah. So it's like
paying people off.
Right. And he just paying you off. All right, I gotta miss a year of football. So what? I ain't gotta go to jail. You know what I'm saying? I don't gotta go to rehab. I don't
have to admit that I wanna
right. And he literally said nothing. He literally had no news conference, nothing.
Yeah, and the quietness is what crazes me.
Right.
But I do want to just dive into that because I think that while we have to obviously support women, obviously, in those kind of situations, because it's like if she says it, we have to go with it. You know what I'm saying? Because who knows? But it's like
I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
If she says it, you have to investigate it.
Right.
If she says it, you don't go with it.
That's
because
true.
unfortunately going with it has put a lot of men, and I'll say this.
That's what I was getting at. You
have to investigate it. Yeah. You don't just go with it. And like I'm a woman, I don't like using feminist either, but when it comes down to it, I'm a feminist. I'm for women's rights. I'm a women's rights activist. So it's like, when I hear it, I want it investigated tenfold. Investigated.
And that's what I think the better word choice, because I feel like because sometimes I feel like there's a lot of these false accusations, right? And
they ruin lives.
They do, but it's in the midst of a serious, it's a serious accusation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how do you got to treat everyone the same?
You know when Me Too happened, that's when I saw the most people come out, and understandable. I am a victim. Now, to hear people I know personally just make up things on people and situations where I was there, I saw nothing happen. I know nothing happened. You were with me the whole time. And to hear them lie and stuff like that, it's just like, wow, like I told the truth and nothing happened to this person, and you just lied, and this person is now suffering because of
there's some sicko liars out there for sure.
disgusting.
There's some liars out
It's
there.
very
Sure.
And that's when it comes down to protect our beautiful daughters, but protect our sons too.
Right.
They're victims too, and they're victims in their own and other malicious ways
Being
that
black.
hurt young men. Being black, yeah.
And I think if you have a track record too, it also affects you, correct? Like if you have a track record, I'm not saying even be sexual assault, but if you have a track record of being say a convict or anything like that, it affects you. That people, you know, I like to use it. I kind of like to use this term, like you said, there's women that obviously is true, like the R.Kelly thing, that's crazy, right? And we're like, what the fuck? Like he's fucked up. But then you got people that, you know, this is my guy, but everybody always joke around. But Chris Brown, right? He beat Rihanna. He did a lot of fucked up shit, right? But now you have women in these past couple of years saying, "Oh, he sexually assaulted me. He did this. He did that," and he has to literally fight for his life to then prove it, and then just keep getting let off charges. But because they know that he got a pass, it's like, all right, we can go to a party, we can lie, and let's hope that we make some money off of it. You know what I'm saying?
There are women like that,
right?
Purity tests,
it makes it look bad for all of us,
right?
Like it looks bad for all of us women, like trying to
doesn't help anybody.
really get justice. Yeah,
and it's on the back of the actual victims.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not putting light to the situation. You know what I'm saying?
And what about those who don't come out? You make them scared because it's like, oh wow, like
would anybody believe me now?
Look at what you're saying. They're not going to believe me.
Right.
Yeah. Very true.
I think that's one of the scariest things in America is that the women that you can really trust, you know, it's like that old saying of, you know, people keep saying something, they lie, then finally it's true and nobody believes them.
Nobody
right?
And the boy that cried wolf.
Right, the boy that cried wolf. So it's like the wolf. So it's like, yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, what it is like, all right, you know, men ain't shit, women ain't shit either. You know what I'm saying? But we have to look out for each other. You know what I'm saying? And it's and just as much as we have to protect you, you guys have to protect us. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, and some ways where you know that we're going to be targeted in society by one way, you know, obviously this way affects us, and you know, obviously, like you guys were saying, the black mortality rate, especially for mothers, is crazy. So it's like that's something that we have to advocate for, that we have to speak up about, because it's like just as much as they want, you know, more white bodies and all this other stuff, I want my brothers and sisters to have healthy babies and be able to survive, be able to, you know, actually. You know, because
that's a small percentage of how the world thinks, and that's the sick part. Is like that's a small percentage of how, you know, you think positively, but there's a lot of this world is vindictive. Like, let's just be honest. Let's just go to social media for instance, right? We see something positive happen. Oh, this positive. That you go to the comments, none but negative all the way down.
Yeah, trolls.
Yo, bro, everybody is
cool now.
Everybody's vindictive. It's cool to put somebody down before pick somebody up. It's cool for people. It's no shade. Anybody that's watching anybody, but it's cool for people to watch this podcast and be like, oh, nah. Right? It's cool for people to do that instead of being like, oh yeah, like this is fire. I like this, right?
I'm learning something from
it. I'm learning something from it.
Let me engage in this
are we talking about women's rights? Nah, I don't want to hear that shit. Instead of like, all right, let me actually get educated from women that know what they're talking about, from women that actually come from different backgrounds that could really shed light.
You know what that is though? And that's what we were talking about before. That's the brainwash.
Right.
We have society and social media and all these other distractions that have taught our brain and conditioned our brain to think like this and be able to take up this attention span and be able to process this. And it's like crazy because it's like we're teaching generations not to critically think anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
but that's what they want. They don't want us to critically think. Because look, I think we were guinea pigs. I think they said, let's create this creative generation. What, Gen Z and Gen Y, like whoever's born in like the 90s, 2000s, and let's see what happens. And they're like, oh, they're not dumb.
Yeah.
Actually, now like
they speak out more
up. Yeah, like let's take away critical thinking from their youth, because like look, because that's what they did, because it's a pattern. Like look at like just back to the Renaissance era, back in those times where enlightenment in different look at all those times, and then look at like when our grandparents were coming up to when our parents were coming up. It's as if they like, we'll give you information. Oh, we don't like how you respond to it. It goes against us. We'll take it away. it's not working, so we'll give it to you. It's a pattern.
They don't
And I
have our
think, like,
sense of wokeness. I
no,
don't
they
think,
don't.
the more woke that people show that they are, they find something else to take away.
Exactly.
Because we live in a fraudulent world, so it's frowned upon to tell the truth.
Yeah, even on social media, just seeing the comments on this type of situation and just seeing what everyone is saying, it's so ignorant. You have men on there talking about don't affect me, and in my head, I'm like, you could be in that, you could be paying child support. It's going to affect you, sir, when you have 20 kids out there and you're on child support. No,
yeah, it will, and it'll affect those. And then again, it's like you're pro-life, but you're not thinking about the lasting effect of the young girl who's with a man who, like, chooses to go off to college and leaves her there, and he has a life, and now she's a single mother, and that child has no father.
Or if those men have kids, and their kids are going to end up young and pregnant, you don't care about that. This affects all the women around you. This affects your mother, your sister, your whole family.
Wear a condom. That's what I'm gonna say, man. Wear a fucking condom.
Get a
and not for nothing. We got to start looking after this casual sex shit, because at this point,
in New York, you can have all the casual sex you want.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, but other than that,
I can't promise you anything.
No.
All your sneaky links.
Listen, we gotta shut all that shit down.
Bring them to the island.
No.
We gotta shut all that shit down.
Let me tell you something. As the only male that's in here that got a kid, let me tell you something. For the only male that's in here that got a kid, if any guys watching this show, I'm looking right at y'all right now. Make sure whoever you have a kid with, you love and you want to be with, because you go on child support.
Oh, obviously.
Boy.
Oh, obviously.
It ain't fun. It ain't fun. It ain't good. It ain't nothing, bro. Listen.
Oh no.
I see.
It ain't good.
In my line of work, I seen some paychecks of clients with child support. That shit.
Boy,
I thought Uncle Sam was bad. This
you don't want no part. You don't want no part, bro. You don't want no parts of that. I'm telling you.
Boy, don't have 4 or 5 pick-me them and on that child support, you know what I mean? Like, boy, I tell you,
you got 2 or 3 kids with different women.
You come home with $100.
Yeah, that Honda gonna sound loud, boy, because that shit is. I'm telling you.
You see, I love the perspective, like how it affects men. Exactly,
it does affect them.
And there's guys that know, and then on top of that, you get the reputation of being a deadbeat dad. Who wants that reputation?
Exactly.
Right.
So wrap it up.
Right.
But the one thing I will say is this: listen. At the end of the day, if you do that shit as a man, step the fuck up. Like,
absolutely.
There's a lot of men that don't want to step up for their children, bro. And listen, as for me, I've always stepped up for my son. Like, you know what I'm saying? That. So what I will say to males that, it does cost. If you don't want to be with your baby mother and deal with that situation, it could cost you. But that baby is more important than the money you're gonna make. At the end of the day, you ain't taking that money with you. No matter what, if you make $1 million or you don't, you ain't taking that money with you. So the impact that you could leave on your son, daughter, whatever, is way more important. So males, if you are listening, I'm kind of doubling back, but be there for your fucking children. Period.
Amen.
Can I ask one question though? What happens moving forward, right? Especially with states like New York, who are liberal and forego. Like, what now then happens? More people might start moving here. You know what I'm saying? They might.
Those are all triggers. Those
travel
are all societal
here.
triggers.
You're gonna start getting already. We're the melting pot. Now we're about to get like, because not for nothing, we can make money there, and they're good with all this other stuff.
Yeah,
it might. We gotta understand that and we gotta start looking at the funding for. Okay, you wanna have more kids? Start looking at the funding for all these different things, because now there's more kids. We need more resources. We need this. Let's start looking
more
at that
schools,
too.
More transportation, more child care.
We gotta start looking
more diapers, more formula.
Can I ask a crazy question?
The landscape of
society,
especially the landscape of society.
Can I ask a crazy question?
Low on teachers, so.
Right.
What are they gonna do?
That's what I'm saying. 5 years down the road, what does this look like?
Can I ask a crazy question? And I want all you guys to answer it separately. It's a crazy question, but you know how like China, they have like the 2-kid rule. I think it's 2 or 3. Do you think that America eventually? Okay, just listen. Do you think America eventually, maybe 100 years, 150 years down the line, that they wind up changing into that, or do you think everything is money based? Go ahead. I see Sade already saying no. This is a question that just popped in my head.
I don't think we would see it. I don't think we would see it in 100, 150 years because we're not letting shit get that bad.
Right.
We're
That's
not.
I
think
like
we'll see it maybe within I wouldn't be surprised if America says something. I wouldn't. I can't put anything past our government.
Right.
I will not be surprised within the next 10 years if that's with the way they're moving.
You think
with
so?
birth and the sex trafficking and how they're not really pro-lifing it as much as they say they are. Right. By the way, to be pro-choice is to be pro-life because you're pro the life of the women and people around her. Exactly. But I think I could see that happening, but I don't think we would let it, and it won't be hard because I feel like if we continue to let the people I believe her name's Mary Williams, the woman that praised white, a win for white lives at the Trump rally.
Oh yeah, she's wild for that.
Fuck you, Mary.
Fuck you, Mary.
You see what I'm saying? And that's what makes me believe you want to build your coalition.
Exactly. You know I now have no doubt in my mind that she'll start restricting numbers of kids because you're talking about white lives and not in the sense of white lives matter because they're getting killed at disproportional rates for no reason. You're talking about white lives just in the sense of you want to preserve this control you have. Then I feel like once I hear shit like that, I'm like, who watches Handmaid's Tale? I've never watched Handmaid's Tale.
I have not.
I've never watched it. My mom, I believe, did, and I'm reading things on Twitter, and they're comparing it to that, and it just seems like a dystopia of if white elites got into power and controlled how women had babies, and it's I think it could, but I want to see. Sade said no, so I want to.
Yeah, I want to hear.
What do you think of that?
She was like this.
No, I don't think. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think they would limit the amount of kids that we're having. Especially if we're going with this whole, they want more white lives, then they're definitely going to want more. But I think it would be the greatest karma if after a few years they were like, oh, shit, we can't actually handle all these kids. Right. Never mind. We take back all of that forcing women to have babies.
Right.
But I don't think so. I hope not. Oh, God. That's a lot.
I don't put anything past our government.
So. What about you, Nels? What you think?
I'm not really sure. I feel like, in a sense, I like where you were going with it. In a sense, I do feel like they're trying to move towards communism. But the two babies, I don't think they would do that. I think they're doing this for a reason.
There's something in that bigger picture. Go ahead, Los. What you got?
America is fucking is worst op is communism. We'll never fade. Not even we got mad at Obama because of social communism. You know what I mean? It wasn't even that crazy.
That's what they want to do. That's what they want to do.
I don't think they'll be scared, and I don't think they'll get to that.
They want to put lower. They want to put the lower class into because I read something it's like a cycle. Capitalism slowly turns into communism when powers are unaligned.
But like Taylor said, we won't let that happen.
No, we're not gonna let that happen. We're gonna fight it. We're gonna see it, and we are.
That's why I don't see it happening. You know what I'm saying? Because
we're not. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. But
ideally, they want the middle and lower class to be that where everybody's wearing gray suits, and the elites will be able to wear the designer in different colors.
And I think they, in the sense of sometimes, yes, they have communist ideas because they control the means of production, just like in communism. You know what I mean? So that's obviously that. But yeah, I don't foresee it happening. I don't think that we will let it get that far because I think that when society has shown us within the last 2 years, if you fuck around long enough, okay, look at what just was happening. You know what I'm saying? If I'm telling you, and right now, y'all gonna say what y'all say. Let people come after gay rights. We're going to see some shit that we saw with Black Lives Matter. But worse. It might be some crazy
gay rights.
Shit.
They're gonna it's gonna explode.
Well, there's gonna be some crazy shit in the streets.
Because being gay transcends. It's not just how we're Black and then it's male and female. Being gay transcends all races, and all gender identifications, and all religious
That's what I'm saying.
beliefs.
That's what I'm.
It's gonna go.
That
crazy.
Black Lives Matter shit is not gonna look like
population.
This gonna look crazy if they better chill out because you know what I'm saying. New York was a war zone.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I think there'll be if segregation ever gets played with, which they're talking, which we have congressmen, elected officials talking about it. I think that would be a breaking point. Nobody's going back to no segregation.
Yeah, no.
Right.
We're not going back to no segregation.
I ain't got no definitely no segregation, but separation, that's a different conversation.
Separation. I think separation happens now.
See, I on the
side. Separation.
Sorry, I was saying we're all from Long Island. It's still separated.
Oh, it's red line like a mother over here, and they're regentrifying to correct that. You see that, but of course, gentrification hurts Black and brown families that get pushed out. But we are very separated. You do see that, but I feel like more separation just brings more division, so we can't have that.
No,
but I can see how it could be better. I respect that.
You know what I'm saying? What happened to Black Wall Street? We'll talk about that later.
They're building one in Georgia. Wait, Shade, have you been to Lithonia?
Yeah.
Yes, I have family.
They have a Black Wall Street there, or a Black like.
I need to look into this. I did not know.
Yes, look into it. I was like working one day in Georgia, and the woman was like, "Oh, we have in Lithonia. They have a Black Wall Street where it's all Black businesses, and they have Black business incubator that like gives money to Black businesses, and they're trying to build it up because Atlanta is going to be the Black Silicon Valley. It is. Technology is going crazy there.
It is,
and so is just entrepreneurship. So,
and but let's be real. Harlem is the Black capital of the world, of New York, of the U.S. You know what I'm saying? It's the Black.
My God, can I say like I don't?
Atlanta's close, but Harlem
don't. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy.
She about to say she don't fuck with Harlem.
I hope you don't revoke my New York card because I'm a Long Island girl, heart to heart, girl through and through. But I don't have this this connection to Harlem. I don't have this
Really?
Well, you talk about the Renaissance era. Look in Harlem. That is when
I love that. I love it. You have the Billie Holiday, all that music. I love all that era, but I still don't like Harlem. To me, it's a part of Manhattan that has mostly minorities, but I don't feel like when I go to Atlanta, I'm
gone too far, babe.
But when I go to places like Atlanta,
you love how Black it is.
Oh my God, I went to Buckhead and I was like, I've never.
Atlanta's a good spot. I never been to Atlanta.
It's a great Thursday to Monday place to visit.
Thursday to Monday? I say that.
But I went to Buckhead and I'm around all these designer shops. It's like
you would kill out
that. And I couldn't believe how many wealthy Black people I was around. So I feel like it's just a different vibe than it's a different type of environment.
Right.
Than Harlem would be, where I'm I'm in Harlem to where I'm in wow, this is Black wealth.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, I'm from Queens.
But let me.
I'm gonna have to agree with Taylor.
But listen. I'll tell you right now.
Wait.
I'll tell you right now.
No, sorry.
Scratch all that because we talk about this Black health. We talk about this Black wealth. We talk about this Black wealth. And where it at, Taylor? We talk about where it's at. You know what I'm saying? Where are they at in times of need like this? You know what I'm saying? All these millionaires, all these billionaires.
Black entrepreneurs.
What is Jay-Z doing, Taylor? What is he doing?
Hey, listen. If you want to talk about what Jay-Z's doing, we can get into that because, I used to be mad at what happened with the Barclays Center. I felt like they were displacing Black and brown people, and then I looked at the bigger picture and how it really does help the progression of Black people. And also, people didn't understand Jay-Z's NFL dealings, but what he did was a big deal. He bought a lot of Black producers, all these years in a row.
The whole Cali shit was fire.
He bought them.
It was crazy.
He bought them to this main stage where you haven't seen this many minor. You just our last, what was it? Jennifer Lopez and Shakira.
That was fire.
2 Latinas. Never been done before.
That was fire.
Jay-Z's talk with Roger Goodall was for that.
Fire.
So Jay-Z's, he's doing stuff. He's out here.
Jay-Z got a scholarship.
No, I know. And I didn't mean Jay-Z in just him, but I'm saying he's.
I get what you're saying.
How many can I reference? You know what I'm saying?
But can I be honest? It's sad. Where's the Black wealth? But it's a little harder for us. It is. So it's showing up. You see it, but I feel like as much as it's prevalent as it is for other groups of people, you just we've been. I will die on this hill. We had a late start. We started late. So it's hard. I feel like you're just seeing, we have the most richest group of Black people we've ever had in this country's history right now. So it's going to take time to really see like where the Black wealth at.
Right.
But it's there.
It's quiet.
Not in Harlem.
Okay. All right now.
Not in Atlanta.
Let me leave him alone.
Yo, they coming at Harlem. I don't know anybody who watches this that love
Black
Harlem.
World, we up, man. Harlem World, what up, man? I'm not even from there, but I've been there.
Don't get me. I'm from Queens.
Sorry.
So right.
Yes, we love Queens, girl.
Some part of Queens, I'll tell you, boy. That's one thing.
I got a big question. For Sade and Taylor.
On that shit.
I got a big question for Sade and Taylor. I mean, you know, I call this show, you know, Culture Shock, you know, for a reason, because, you know, culture is different to everybody. You know, we've had plenty of guests, plenty of different answers. I've been asking this question to work towards something. I ain't gonna reveal why, but I've been asking this question through every episode. So I want to ask y'all, you know, because you two being the newbies on here and shedding the light on beautiful things and using y'all intelligence. You know, I'll start with Sade, for real, very articulate. I'll start with Sade and ask the question, when you think of culture, just culture, what's the first thing that pops in your head?
Given and chosen. I think culture is
different.
Yeah, I think culture is partly what you're given by your parents, by your great-grandparents, by your ancestors, understanding where you came from. But I think your culture also turns into, you know, where you go with your life, how you educate yourself, the beliefs you choose and the beliefs you learn, and some of the things you unlearn.
I like that.
I think
that's different. I ain't never heard somebody say that.
And the key thing is the things the key thing is the thing for me. The key thing is the things you unlearn. That's the thing, because we've been conditioned, and sometimes we run into this shit and we don't want to give it to the next generation because we realize that's how it was. That's our status quo. We don't need that, baby.
Yeah.
Gotta get rid of that.
That's
right. What about you, Tay?
Yes. So culture to me, it's basically, honestly, me and Sade, we have the same answer. It's the traditions you hold closest to you from where you come from your roots, and it's the knowledge that you seek out for yourself. So I think culture comes from all those things. Like Sade said, your ancestors, your parents, grandparents, your nationality, ethnicity, being American. You know, that's a big part of all of our cultures. We've all grown up here. And then also what we've chose to go out and open our hearts to, which is like, you know, having an understanding for other people, other cultures, which I think in turn makes you a cultured person.
And that's the number one thing. It's travel.
Right.
Travel is the most culturing thing in the world. Get out there and learn yourself, people.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are stuck in that box right now. You know, they kind of, even with the pandemic, I think it was good. Like in my, for me, you know, I'm what is that, introvert, extrovert? Like I could do both. So I felt like the pandemic was good just so people could realize what they missed. You know, there's certain things that people took for granted, like going out and just going to a restaurant and having dinner with their significant other or their family and stuff like that. And I feel like culture, you know, people kind of took like what we live with every day for granted, you know. And I feel like that has kind of helped us in a way. You know, so much other bullshit that we dealt with, including, you know, so many other bullshit that we had to deal with Trump and everything else. But I feel like the coronavirus helped us in a way, just appreciate the little things a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? As far as even just family, you see family that you didn't see for a couple months. Like, damn, like we used to have family parties every week, or you know what I'm saying, shit like that. I don't know if y'all ever been to a Puerto Rican household, but they be staying all night. They be staying all night playing dominoes until 3 o'clock in the morning. There's two uncles left.
That sounds about right.
That's it.
Or the black people, the black people's cookouts. Come on, we've been all there. You know what I'm saying?
West Indians party for anything.
Yes, the West Indians till 4 a.m.
In the corner like this.
Kids, it's not for the kids. The kids, it's not until 3 o'clock.
Speaking of West Indians, I made the best curry chicken today. I'm sorry, y'all. I just had to say that.
We love that. We love that.
Y'all need Nell curry chicken. Hit her up, please.
Yeah, Pac.
I was over there like this right before I came on.
Love that.
For real. So tonight was a beautiful episode. Nell, Sade, Lois, Taylor. I want to personally say thank y'all. Yeah, you kept it light, but you kept it brilliant at the same time. You guys are very intelligent. You guys showed a lot of, just shed a lot of light on a lot of things and kept it real. Some people want to be by the book, but y'all were by the book and at the same time kept it real. So I want to give y'all flowers because, like I said, people don't always say thank you. People hear you and it goes in one ear and out the other. You know what I'm saying? And people don't want to make change. They want to hear change for a couple weeks and they want to go back to their normal life. So, for me, I appreciate y'all being on Culture Shock. I think, shout out to Ranish for making this all happen.
Yes, thank you, Rhino. Shout out to the friends that put you on.
Yes. She's unbelievable, sis. I love you. Appreciate you. But seriously, you guys were great. And I really thank you guys for being here and giving different insight, and even the culture answer giving different insight. It's appreciated. I know Los and Nels feel the same way. I do.
I'm just really hoping that when people watch this podcast, that they take something from it.
Right.
I'm gonna see if Pat will put the links underneath for people to go as well. Sign the whatever.
Yes, I'll send you over
to the rallies.
We can
send you over some more petitions.
Right.
That's
I feel like people need to really take.
We could do that in the link tree. People click that link tree. We could do it.
Yeah, don't just watch it.
We could do that. We could put it in the episode.
Right, we can put in an episode. We can do all that for women's
rights. That's all I'm hoping is that people take something from it, and they, instead of watching and saying, "Yeah, I feel the same way," they get up and go do something.
Yes, because that's the only way things are going to change, guys. We have to feel and deal. We have to be out there. Yes. Our voices have to be heard. And they matter.
And I think we're starting to get that. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's, now's the time.
And ladies,
they thought we was playing with that George Floyd shit. You see what we did.
And ladies,
they think we're gonna be some more playing and ain't playing no more.
And ladies, I want to say personally, as males, we appreciate you. We love you. We sorry for all the bullshit that y'all ladies deal with on a daily basis, but we do love you. We do appreciate you. And the males that don't, fuck y'all. But for real, we do appreciate y'all ladies.
Absolutely. Wholeheartedly.
You know what I'm saying? This is, for real. Yes. So I want to thank y'all for being a part of Culture Shock, episode number 10. And we out of here. I appreciate y'all.
Thanks, love and like us.